So, welcome everybody to our presentation on the Masters in Marketing Practice. My name is Jennifer and I'm joined by my fellow marketing advisors, Emmett, Roddy, Leah, and our program manager, Harriet Price. So Roddy and Emmett are going to give you a brief presentation on what our course is all about, and then we're going to finish up with the Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions in the tab below, or you can speak yourself. So I'm going to pass you over to Roddy now. So speak to you later.
Thanks, Jenny. So I think the first question that we want to ask here is, what is the MSc in Marketing Practice? Because it's a really unique course, and it's a course that was the first of its kind in Europe, and it's a course based around this premise of action learning, which means that you put your theory into practice while working on real life projects while gaining a master's in marketing. So as you saw there were two names. There was the MSc in Marketing Practice and the MDP. So the MSc in Marketing Practice is the academic side of it. So when you come out of this course, you have the credits that give you an academic degree. So you have your master's in marketing practice, but also for the action learning process to work, we have to have actual clients that we work with. So we work as a marketing agency, and the clients know us as the Marketing Development Program. Now, what are some of the modules that you would do within the MSc Marketing Practice? Well, the first are your applied marketing projects. These are the projects that you work on throughout the year, and you're graded through your output with these projects and also how you work within them. But we also do modules such as digital marketing. So you would learn the theory and everything you would learn from a digital marketing master's, but you would do it in the vein and this idea of action learning that we do everything within the course. So for example, within our digital marketing module, we would have learned how to create websites, but we actually get to create an actual website for a real life client. And we get to do this throughout every single module that we do. It's all based on putting it into action. And then we have modules such as customer market insights. So we will learn theory here that allow us to complete our applied marketing projects. And then finally, a really important part of the course is this idea of development. And for me, it's what really makes the MSc Marketing Practice a really unique course. The course focuses on an ethos of development. So it's getting a student coming in as a student and coming out of the course the other end as a marketing professional and someone who's developed professionally and personally throughout the year. So not only is that part of the ethos, but that's actually a module in itself, and you're graded on your professional development. So how does all this work? Well, action learning, it all kind of stems around this idea of action learning. So initially, action learning starts from learning theory from some of the top UCD Smurfit Business School lecturers, such as Damien McLaughlin and Elaine Malcolm. Damien would give us, insights into how to segment the market and things like that. And then we would then put these learnings into practice. So for example, I have just completed a project with Mini Cooper, and we decided that when we got this project that we would use what we learned in Damien's class about segmentation into how we would conduct the project itself. So we as a group would then go forward and try to complete the project to fix the problems that potentially the client has brought to us. But we do this autonomously, but a massive part of that is that we have guidance from our managers. So Elaine Malcolm would give us great guidance on how to complete the market research side of it. And then we also have great guidance from Harriet Price, who is our overall manager and is in the office with us full time to give us guidance not only on the projects, but also on our development and our personal and professional development. We then complete the projects and we would present to the clients, and we would have real output that we can see. And then the final step would be to reflect on what we learned and then improve on that. So the reflection on your learnings would happen on a personal scale. So you would have your own learning log that you reflect on. But for example, let's say for this mini project that I would have just done, we will now come back as a group and figure out what did we learn out of this, and then we would present to the wider group as a whole, saying these are our learnings, and we would then use those learnings on the various projects we would do after that point, kind of creating a flow of learning throughout the whole year. So it's all around learning by doing. So a massive part of the course is that it's all based around group work. And I think the first thing to realize is the type of group that we have in the MDP, and that comes in year in, year out. So on a macro scale, the MDP is kind of seen as two things. First, a gateway to business for non-business students, and then also a way for business students to hone their skills in a marketing setting. So it means that we have a really diverse group of individuals in the course. It's usually made up of around 30 people, all in similar age, but people from different backgrounds. So in our year, we have people who've done law, even music students, and then we have teachers, and of course, business students and sociology students and stuff like that. So it's a really dynamic group of people that all have something different and interesting to bring. And it means that, you know, you're always finding out new things about different types of people. And then on a micro scale, you actually get put into different groups throughout the year. And I think personally, I've been part of around 10 plus groups throughout the year. And what's great about that is you learn not only how does one group act, but how do different groups act and how can you act within those groups. So it's a really great learning that you can bring to any job that you come into, knowing that, okay, well, I've kind of come across this type of learning from different group in my year in the MDP. I can now put what I've learned into practice in the real working world from how I would have maybe dealt with an issue working with that type of group. So what's a typical day in the office in the MDP? I think before we go into it, it's important to note that there is no real typical day. It's what you make of it. It's different to working in or doing just a regular fully academic master's where you have a timetable of lectures. It's quite dynamic, our work day, and it's what you do within it. So the hours are 9 to 5 and the dress is formal and it's within the MDP office. This is one example of a work day. So as I mentioned, we would have, like, let's say a digital marketing lecture where we could be designing a website for a professional development firm, giving you the skills to have when you come into a real digital marketing job. And then we would work on, like, let's say the project work. So I would have been segmenting the market for Mini Cooper, and we would have done this from maybe 12 to 1, gone off for lunch, and then come back and have a guest speaker from one of our alumni. And that's a really important part of the course as well, is something that you're buying into when you become a part of the MDP, is that you're part of a wider community of people who know exactly how the MDP operates, and they're always willing to help and come back and give us really interesting talks about different industries, how to progress in your career, and even how to run your own company, as many people within the MDP end up becoming entrepreneurs. And then finally, you could go off and do some field research for, let's say, a food company. You could go into town to conduct some research or some surveys, or you could even go off on some overnight trips, which we do throughout the year, which are really fun to conduct research in, let's say, rural areas. And then on the right-hand side, we might have a typical Friday. So every Friday, we would have class presentations on things such as current affairs, marketing strategy, and book review. And if there's one thing that the MDP does, it teaches you how to present and how to be confident in presenting. I think I've done upwards of 25 plus presentations this year, and that would be to your own students, your own marketing advisors that you're around every day, but also to clients. So it means that when you're going into a job, you know that you have the ability to present in a way that you've practiced time and time again in different scenarios. So it's great for building your confidence in that setting. The next would be project work, just like the day before. You could be doing research for a different project. So the thing about these projects is that you're on many different projects at one time, and it's all about how you manage your time within that and how you manage your work working with different projects, which is quite exciting, but it's a lot of work, and it's a great learning. And then obviously go for lunch, and then we might come back and do a rowing class. So something that's really enjoyable, but also something that they try to instill with you in terms of your development is how you should act when you become an adult or an individual who is working professionally. It's not just about developing yourself in how you speak with people and wearing, smart casual every day, or wearing, formal every day. It's about balancing the work life and showing you, how can you do that? And that's what these rowing classes that we would do, or these fitness classes, or even things like meditation classes we would do. It's all about teaching you how to balance your life in a professional manner. And also, it's just great crack as well. So we would go off and just have loads of fun doing that. And then we might come back and do a workshop. And the great thing about these workshops, and also the guest speakers as well, is that we get to decide what we find interesting, and then we get to bring in maybe a workshop on mobile journalism. So we kind of have autonomy on what we learn in these special workshops and guest speakers. So we did one mobile journalism workshop, which was really interesting, which taught us how to basically take really professional videos just using our smartphones. And it means that when we go into the working world, we will now have had not only all of these things that we've learned from our degree, but also these extra add-ons that we can add value to on our CV and also going into a job. So as you can see there, the workday is very dynamic and there's always different things going on. And where does this happen? Well, we have our own office in Smurfit, which is a really unique part of the course. So we have sole access to this area. On the right-hand side, you can see where we would spend kind of most of our time working on projects, but we also have a really great, open reception area. And then we have a boardroom and a meeting room, as well as 2 other offices. So there's constantly different areas that you can go into to work and brainstorm ideas and work on projects. Not only that, but we also have access to the hall of the Smurfit building as well. So we kind of get the best of both worlds. I will now pass you on to Emmett.
Great. Cheers, Roddy. And just a caveat here as well, if anyone has any questions on anything Roddy has said so far, you can pop them in the Q&A function down the bottom and we'll get to them as soon as possible. So yeah, the MDP, I mean, it's not all work. It's quite fun too, as Roddy just mentioned. And here's a couple of pictures of some of the stuff we got up to over the years. So this is, the first picture was our advisors on the way down to Galway in the first semester, which is great fun, as you can imagine. This is a picture of us all on our team bonding exercise, which was rowing, which did for 4 or 5 weeks down in Dunleary every week. So this is some of the lads, Roddy included, playing football at lunchtime in their suits. This is all of us on the Viking Splash Tour, which is actually week 1. So we're all pretty baby-faced there. And this is some of our advisors at the annual Smurfit Ball, which is actually organised by internally within the MDP. There's a group of 4 that organised the ball, which was down in Slieve Russell in Cavan just back in March. So who are our advisors? As Roddy said, we've got a wide array of people that make up the course, and it's what makes the dynamic of the course so unique and special. As Roddy said, we've had nurses, pharmacists, we have a teacher this year, we did teacher last year. One of the guys studied drama, Lee and I did business, but Jenny and Roddy did sociology and geography. So it's open to people from all backgrounds, and we actively encourage people from different backgrounds as well. So here's a couple of examples of some of our advisors this year. So on the left we have Edith, and Edith studied business and law in UCD. So she says, after working in New York doing digital marketing for a fashion company, the MDP has been instrumental in my personal and professional growth, preparing me to take me to the next steps in my career. So Edith worked for a year or 2 in New York, decided she needed to upskill to progress her career quicker, and came back and is enjoying the MDP. But on the right we have Ben, who does not come from a business background, in fact comes from a Bachelor of Arts in English and Sociology in UCD. And he says, I always wanted to get into business, and this course allowed me to leverage my non-business skills to help mold me into a competent marketing professional. Yeah, so the course is open to the likes of Edith and the likes of Ben, who have no business experience. So the aim of the course is building critical marketing talent for future business growth. And critical talent are those people that really stand out, as the person in the yellow in the photo does. And they're the people who create the value an organization needs to succeed. And critical talent, it's in short supply and it's actively sought out by companies. And this is how we mold you into critical talent at the MDP. If you want to click on a slide there, Roddy. So as Roddy said, in the classroom, we learn from the likes of Elaine, Harriet, and Damien. That's where we get our knowledge. So be it brand and customer insight, be it marketing strategy, and be it digital marketing. And the next steps then, as Roddy mentioned a bit earlier, is execution. So it's putting those learnings from the classroom in practice on the different projects that we do. And it's that combination of knowledge and execution through projects that makes students that go through the MDP critical talent that is actively sought out by companies. So here's a couple of examples. You might be wondering, we've mentioned quite a lot about the projects that we undertake in the MDP office, and here's some examples of the companies we've worked with this year and last year, and the kind of company you can expect to work with if you do join the MDP. So we've got the likes of Monster Energy, Boojum. Leah and I have just finished a project for Electric Ireland, which is an event we organise for them every year. We actually turned into a video podcast this year because obviously the event couldn't take place. We worked with Alltech this year, and they own a whiskey distillery in Dublin, which we did some market research for. We've also got the likes of rideshare. So we've got these tech startups, which are equally as exciting as the bigger companies to work on as well. As Roddy said, he's just finished a project with Mini Cooper, and we've had L'Oreal and Skoda in doing projects in the last year or two as well. So that's who you can expect to work with. As I said, Leah and I are just finished this semester at Electric Ireland, and Roddy was actually on a project with Electric Ireland last year. This is the business breakfast. It was held in the Market Hotel, and here's the team that worked on that project. And this is all of us with our client from Pearse, Lyons Distillery after we finished a market research project for them earlier in the year as well. So where might you expect to work after you finish the MDP? And this is where some of our past advisors currently work. So we've got the big boys, obviously, like Google. We've got John Walsh, who's at Kerry, who's part of the strategy team in Kerry, and he actually came in to give us a talk recently. We've got people at BMW, Salesforce, L'Oreal, Procter & Gamble, Amazon as well. We've got an alumni, Jonathan Clunan, who's heading up the advertising team at Amazon. He was actually part of Forbes 30 Under 30 not so long ago, and he was in giving us a talk recently as well. We've got Robin, who was an MDP last year, who's now working at Mini, and we've got people in the likes of LinkedIn and Glanbia as well. But it's not just those companies. There's a really strong entrepreneurial spirit with advisors that go through the MDP, and here's a couple of examples. So on the top left, we've got Niall, who did the MDP, and with a partner actually set up the company Fulfill Bars, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. He's actually since moved on from Fulfill and has now opened up Cali Crisps, which some of you might be aware of as well. We've got Debbie McCarthy on the right there, who set up a influencer marketing company, and they manage some influencers like Holly Carpenter, which I'm sure some of you will know. And then on the bottom, we've got Niamh Kellett, who also runs marketing services, mixtape marketing. So there's also a strong entrepreneurial spirit within the MDP, and many of our advisors do want to set up their own companies. So here's to the crux of it. How do you apply if you are interested in signing up for the MDP? All you need is an up-to-date curriculum vitae, 2 passport-sized photographs, and a short 300-word essay on why I should be accepted to the MSc in marketing practice. And just finally, some important news, as I'm sure all of you are wondering, is what's happening with COVID-19 next year. Well, obviously the situation remains fluid, and we are following government guidelines until September, and they are subject to change, of course. At the moment, we're hoping to get the MDP open at a social distance, of course, complying with public health measures. One advantage that the course has is that it's not huge. It never tends to be more than 30 people. So maybe between the office and another classroom, of course, we'll be able to function at a social distance. But of course, this is all subject to change following public health advice. So thank you all very much for listening. If you have any questions, of course, you can pop them in the Q&A box below. If not, you can email us after mdpinquiries@gmail.com. And we would also encourage you all to have a look at our Instagram at MSc Marketing Practice for some updates on what we get up to on a daily basis. Thank you all very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Emmett and Roddy, for going through the presentation. We have one question here from a girl in social science and UCD who's interested in the entertainment industry. And she's wondering, excuse me, whether you think this course would be valuable for that, or if any graduates have gone into working in film or TV. So Roddy, would you be able to answer that question, please?
Well, Amy, I came into the course coming from a music background, not actual like production of music, but I was involved in the music industry a bit in marketing on that side. And what the MDP does is it gives you the skills that don't just focus on the industry that you are interested in, but gives you overall skills that you can apply to any industry. But it means that you kind of have these tangible skills that now bolster what you have when you go into what you're interested in. So you now have like all these real marketing knowledge skills, plus your interest in that particular industry. But yes, no, you can go into the entertainment industry. We had Tara Moran, who's in Virgin Media, who has a really great role there. She came in and had a chat with us. So that's the great thing about the MDP is it's diverse. You can go into anything really after it. But the great thing about it is it allows you to kind of broaden your horizons and find out exactly what you want to do. And that might still be the entertainment industry at the end of the day, but it gives you that perspective on the whole landscape before you go out into doing that.
Do we have any more questions?
You can also raise your hand, guys, and we can allow you to speak. That's a bit easier.
So we have another question here. So, hi guys, would this master's allow you to take up a digital marketing role, or would you be better off with a master's in digital marketing? So Leah, would you be able to answer that question, please?
Yeah, thank you. So we're quite fortunate with this master's in that we have access to really great lectures. So we have taken up 2 modules this semester. One was digital marketing and the second was advanced digital marketing. And so in our digital marketing lecture, we learned all about digital marketing best practices, developing and designing websites, designing videos and social media campaigns for a brand. We then were given the opportunity to put into practice where we designed an actual website for a company and we were responsible then for the SEO management. You get the same experience and exposure to digital marketing in our course as you would. However, you're able to implement it by working with real companies, and that's something that our course does quite a lot. We work with brands and in doing their digital media management, we create social media content calendars for them, and we also create digital marketing strategies for them. So you absolutely do get exposure to digital marketing, and it would 100% benefit you to go into that industry if that's what you want to go into after doing the course. So I hope that answers your question.
One question we are usually asked at recruitment fairs and things like that is if you have a say on the type of projects you're put on, and you absolutely do. At the beginning of the year, Harriet asked you what kind of industry you'd like to work in, if it's food or if it's music or tech. And then at the beginning of the year, you can say, you can put your name down, and then that way you'll be able to put on projects that you're interested in. But also the great thing about the MDP is that you can be put on projects on industries you never thought that you'd be interested in, and then you can find a passion which you never knew you had. So that's also a really good thing about the course. So any more questions? Okay, I suppose if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll finish it up there. But if you guys do have any more questions when you come away from this, do feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram page or also on our email, which is mdpinquiries@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you might have. So thank you so much for joining today, and hopefully we'll hear from you in the future.